Take a deep breath and walk, she told the boy who couldn't move, and what happens next will give you chills. Olivia Johnson clenched her small fists as she knelt beside the wheelchair in the hallway of Boston City Hospital. Her golden curls swayed as she leaned in to whisper into the ear of the boy who hadn't responded to her calls for 6 long months. Take a deep breath and walk, little Ethan, she repeated for the 100th time, the words spoken with the same unwavering conviction as always. Ethan James Miller remained motionless, his brown eyes fixed on the floor, his legs, which once raced across the schoolyard, now still beneath the blue hospital blanket. The household accident that changed his life at 4 years old had left more than just spinal injuries. It had shattered the hope of an entire family. Across the hallway, Jennifer Miller watched the daily scene with a broken heart. At 32, she had aged a decade in half a year. Her hands, calloused from endless work, trembled as she clutched yet another medical bill she didn't know how to pay. Between her overnight janitorial job at the hospital and her daytime shift at a clothing store, she barely had time to breathe. "Mum, she's talking to Ethan again," murmured Rob, Jennifer's husband, with poorly concealed irritation. "This isn't good for him. The doctors already said—" "Rob, please," Jennifer interrupted, though she herself no longer knew what to think about Olivia's daily visits. The girl had appeared during the first week after Ethan was discharged for rehabilitation. Her mother, Sarah Johnson, worked as a nursing assistant on the same floor and always brought her daughter along when covering extra shifts. What had started as a chance encounter between two children who had gone to kindergarten together had turned into something the adults couldn't understand. "Come on, little Ethan," Olivia insisted, gently touching her friend's arm. "Remember when we played hide and seek at the playground? You always found me first. Now it's my turn to find you." Ethan lifted his eyes for the first time that afternoon. Silent tears streamed down his cheeks as he tried to move his legs, the effort visible in every tense muscle of his face. Nothing happened. Jennifer felt her throat tighten. It was always like this. Hope swelling like a wave about to crash onto the shore, only to recede, leaving behind wet sand and empty shells. "Olivia, sweetheart," she called softly. "Your mother must be looking for you." "She said I could stay a little longer," the girl replied, without taking her eyes off her friend. "Little Ethan, remember when your grandma Dorothy made that cornbread we sneaked in her kitchen?" For the first time in weeks, Ethan's lips twitched into something resembling a smile. Mrs. Dorothy had scolded them so much that day, but later she baked another batch just for them. From the end of the hallway, a firm voice echoed, "Is this how you're taking care of my grandson?" Dorothy Williams approached with determined steps, her 73 years carried with the dignity of a woman who had raised 5 children alone. She had arrived from Cambridge the night before for a conversation that could no longer be postponed. "Son, you know we're doing our best," Rob began, but the woman cut him off with a wave of her hand. "Your best? You're letting that child fill Ethan's head with fantasies. The doctors have said plenty," Dorothy interrupted, surprising everyone. "But I see things they don't." Jennifer stepped closer, confused. "What do you mean?" "Last night, when you two went out to dinner, I stayed with Ethan," the grandmother began, her voice quiet but firm. "He was asleep, but then he started moving, the toes on his right foot. It wasn't a spasm. It was movement." "Mum, you must have imagined it," said Robert, but there was something in the woman's voice that made him hesitate. "Imagined nothing, boy. At 73, I know the difference between seeing something and imagining something, and there's more." She looked directly at Olivia, who had stopped talking to Ethan to listen. "It always happens when she's around. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing." The silence that followed was broken only by the sound of medical equipment and distant conversations in the hallway. Jennifer felt the floor move beneath her feet. Could it be possible that her mother-in-law was right, or was it just the desperation of a grandmother wanting to believe in the impossible? "I'll call Dr. Richard," said Jennifer, more to herself than to the others. "No need to call anyone right now," interrupted a familiar voice. Everyone turned to see Sarah Johnson approaching, still wearing her green nursing assistant uniform. Her dark eyes were tired after a 12-hour shift, but there was something else there. Worry. "Sarah, I'm sorry, Olivia stayed longer than we agreed," Jennifer began. "It's not that." Sarah took a deep breath before continuing. "I need to talk to you all about what's been happening here." Olivia finally stood up, sensing the seriousness in her mother's voice. Ethan kept his eyes fixed on her, as if afraid she'd disappear if he blinked. "Dr. Henry, the head of physical therapy, spoke to me today," Sarah went on. "He said Olivia's visits are interfering with Ethan's treatment, that you're creating expectations that could hurt his acceptance of his condition." The words hit Jennifer like a punch to the gut. "But Olivia just wants to help." "I know, sweetheart, I know." Sarah crouched down to her daughter's level. "Crouch down. Olivia, can you go play at the end of the hallway? The adults need to talk." "But I promised little Ethan I'd stay until snack time," the girl protested. "Go on, honey. I'll stay here with him," said Dorothy, surprising everyone again with her kindness. Once Olivia was out of earshot, Sarah continued in a low voice. "Dr. Henry said if the visits continue, he'll have to speak to the hospital administration. They might even ban her from the floor." Robert exploded. "That's it. Enough of this nonsense. The boy needs to learn to face reality, not listen to miracle promises from a 4-year-old. "Rob," Jennifer scolded, but doubt lingered in her voice. "No, he's right," Sarah admitted, tears welling up. "I can't let my daughter hurt Ethan's recovery. As much as it hurts, maybe it's better if she stops coming." That's when Ethan did something no one expected. He started crying. Not the silent tears that had become routine, but deep, desperate sobs that echoed down the hallway. His arms moved, reaching for something. Someone. Liv. He managed to whisper between tears. It was the first word he'd spoken in 2 weeks. Dorothy stepped closer to the wheelchair and cupped her grandson's face in her wrinkled hands. "What is it, my angel? Talk to Grandma." Don't let her go," Ethan managed to say, his voice hoarse from disuse. Jennifer's legs nearly gave out. Robert turned pale. Sarah covered her mouth with her hands, eyes wide. I can feel my leg when she's here," Ethan continued, the words coming slowly. "It doesn't hurt. It's not asleep. I can feel it." The hospital hallway, usually bustling with noise and movement, seemed to freeze in that moment. A nurse passing by stopped, clearly having heard the boy's words. Other people began to gather, whispering among themselves. Sarah was the first to react, kneeling beside the wheelchair. "Ethan, are you sure? It's not just your imagination?" The boy shook his head vigorously. "When she talks to me, when she puts her hand on my arm, I feel a tingling in my leg. Grandma saw it yesterday, my toes moved." Dorothy nodded slowly. "It's true. I saw it with these old eyes of mine." Jennifer looked at her husband, who was still in shock. "Rob, did you hear what our son just said?" "I heard, but..." He ran a hand through his hair, confused. "The doctors said it was impossible. The spinal injury..." "Doctors can be wrong," interrupted a woman's voice behind them. Everyone turned to see Dr. Amanda Wilson approaching. At 28, she was the youngest physical therapist on the team, freshly graduated and full of ideas that often clashed with the hospital's traditional methods. "Dr. Amanda," Jennifer greeted her, "did you hear..." "I heard everything," the therapist confirmed, her eyes shining with scientific interest. "And I'll be honest with you. For the past 2 months, I've noticed patterns in Ethan's movements that I can't explain with traditional protocols." Robert stepped forward, skeptical. "What kind of patterns?" "Minimal but consistent muscle responses, only occurring on specific days," Amanda explained. "When I cross-reference the data with visitation records, well, it lines up exactly with the days Olivia visits." The revelation landed like a bomb in the group. Sarah sank into a nearby chair, trying to process the information. "But how is that possible?" Jennifer asked. "There are studies on neuroplasticity revolutionizing our understanding of spinal injuries," Amanda began, "especially in children. The brain can create new neural pathways when properly stimulated." "And Olivia would be that stimulus?" Dorothy questioned. "I don't know, but there are documented cases of partial or full recovery through intense emotional stimuli. What older doctors call willpower might actually have real scientific basis. From down the hall, Olivia started walking back, seemingly tired of waiting. She had no idea her approach was being watched like a scientific experiment by 5 tense adults. "Can I run a test?" Amanda asked. "With your permission, of course." Jennifer and Robert exchanged glances. It was risky to fuel hopes that could be crushed again, but it was also impossible to ignore what they'd just witnessed. "What do you have in mind?" Jennifer asked. "Nothing invasive. I'll just observe Ethan's neurological responses during his interaction with Olivia. If there's any real muscle activity, I'll detect it." "Uncle Rob, can I come back?" Olivia called, still a few feet away. Robert looked at his wife, his mother, at Ethan, who watched him with pleading eyes, and finally at Sarah, who was holding her breath. "Come here, sweetheart," he said, his voice trembling. As Olivia approached, Amanda positioned herself discreetly to observe Ethan's legs. The girl resumed her spot beside the wheelchair as if nothing had happened. "Hi, little Ethan," she said, lightly touching her friend's arm. "Are you okay? You look like you've been crying." "I'm okay now," Ethan replied, and for the first time in months, his voice sounded strong and clear. Amanda watched intently and, after a few minutes, gave the adults an almost imperceptible signal. There was movement, subtle but unmistakable. "Olivia," Amanda called gently, "can you place your hand on Ethan's leg?" The girl glanced at the adults, confused by the request, but obeyed. The moment her small hand touched Ethan's right thigh, Amanda saw something that made her eyes widen. The quadriceps muscle had contracted. "Oh my God," she whispered. "What happened?" Jennifer asked desperately. "There was voluntary muscle contraction," Amanda replied, barely containing her emotion. "Ethan, can you feel Olivia's hand on your leg?" The boy closed his eyes, concentrating. "Yes, I can. It's warm." The tears Jennifer had held back for so many months finally came. Robert leaned against the wall, his legs shaky. Dorothy murmured a quiet prayer. "This changes everything," Amanda said. "I need to speak with Dr. Richard immediately. If Ethan is responding to stimuli like this, we might be able to develop a completely new treatment protocol." "But Dr. Henry said he was going to ban visits," Sarah reminded them, still processing what she had just witnessed. Amanda straightened up, adopting a determined professional stance. "Dr. Henry will have to deal with me first. What we just saw isn't pseudoscience or positive thinking. It's documented neurological response." Olivia, completely unaware of the medical revolution she had just sparked, kept talking to Ethan about childish things. She told him about the cartoon she'd watched the night before, about the cat that had appeared in the neighbor's yard, about the new doll her aunt had given her. Ethan listened intently, laughing at the silly stories and asking questions. To any casual observer, they were just two kids chatting. But to the adults witnessing the scene, it was much more than that. It was hope reborn. "Amanda," Jennifer called, "what happens now?" "Now we change Ethan's treatment protocol," the physical therapist replied firmly. "And Olivia will officially be part of the therapy team." "Really?" the little girl asked, hearing her name. "Absolutely," Amanda confirmed, smiling. "You're going to help your friend get better." "I always knew I could do it," Olivia said with the simplicity of a 4-year-old. "My mum always says when we really want something good, God helps make it happen." It was late at night when Jennifer finally got home after long discussions with Amanda and other members of the medical team. Robert had gone to pick up Ethan from the hospital, and now the boy was sleeping in his room, more peaceful than he'd been in months. The phone rang at 10 o'clock. It was Amanda. "Jennifer, sorry to call so late, but I couldn't wait until tomorrow." The physical therapist's voice was tense. "I spoke with Dr. Richard about Ethan's case." "And?" Jennifer asked, her heart racing. "He wants to hold a meeting tomorrow with the entire medical team. Dr. Henry will also be there. We're going to propose a new treatment protocol that includes Olivia's participation." Jennifer sat on the bed, trying to process the information. "What if Dr. Henry refuses?" "Then we'll have a problem," Amanda admitted. "He's the head of the department, but I have today's neurological data. It'll be hard for him to argue against scientific evidence." The next morning, Boston City Hospital held one of its most tense meetings in years. The conference room was packed with doctors, physical therapists, neurologists, and administrators, all gathered to discuss a case that had divided opinions. Dr. Henry Goldstein, 58 years of experience in physical therapy, chaired the meeting with his trademark skepticism. He had dedicated 3 decades of his life to evidence-based medicine and wasn't about to change now over what he considered misplaced hope. Dr. Amanda, I've heard your claims about neurological responses in patient Ethan James Miller, he began, his tone formal and detached. I'd like you to present your data to the team. Amanda stood up, nervous but determined. In her final months as a resident, she had learned that questioning established protocols was a dangerous path, but she couldn't ignore what she had seen. Dr. Henry, colleagues, she began, connecting her laptop to the projector. Yesterday, I documented voluntary muscle contractions in patient Ethan Miller after 6 months of complete muscle inactivity. The images from the neurological exams appeared on the screen. Graphs showed electrical activity in muscles that were theoretically inactive. The data clearly shows muscle activation consistent with voluntary neurological command, Amanda continued. The activity occurred specifically during interaction with another young patient, Olivia Johnson. Dr. Henry studied the graphs carefully, his face revealing no emotion. Dr. Amanda, residual muscle responses are common in spinal cord injury cases. They don't necessarily mean recovery. I agree, Dr. Henry, but the timing consistency and correlation with specific stimuli suggests something beyond residual activity, Amanda replied, keeping her composure. Dr. Richard Silver, the hospital's chief neurologist, spoke up. Henry, I've also reviewed the data. The responses are atypical for the type of injury Ethan sustained. Richard, you know spinal cord injuries like this have a defined prognosis, Dr. Henry responded, beginning to show irritation. Creating false hope for the parents is cruel and unethical. More cruel than ignoring signs of improvement, Amanda questioned, immediately regretting her challenging tone. The heavy silence that followed was broken by Dr. Richard. I suggest we conduct a controlled observation. If there's truly significant neurological activity, we'll document it properly. And how do you propose we do that? Dr. Henry asked. Monitored sessions with muscle measurement equipment. If interactions with Olivia produce results, we'll see it clearly in the data. Dr. Henry leaned back in his chair, clearly uncomfortable with the situation. 40 years in medicine had taught him that miracles didn't exist, only misdiagnoses and mismanaged expectations. Fine, he said finally. 3 weeks of controlled observation. If there's no measurable improvement, this discussion ends here. Amanda felt a mix of relief and pressure. 3 weeks to prove her intuition was right, 3 weeks to save a family's hope. 2 hours later, Jennifer and Robert were called to the hospital for a conversation that would change their lives again. Are you sure you want to do this? Jennifer asked after hearing the proposal. What if it doesn't work? If it doesn't work, at least we'll know we tried everything, Robert replied, surprising his wife with his change in attitude. And Olivia? Will she understand the responsibility? Jennifer questioned. Children her age don't think about responsibility, Amanda explained. They just do what feels right. And maybe that's exactly what Ethan needs. The protocol began the following Monday. Twice a week for 1 hour, Olivia would participate in physical therapy sessions with Ethan under intensive medical monitoring. Every muscle movement would be recorded, every neurological response documented. On the first day, the little girl arrived at the hospital wearing a blue floral dress, carrying a sketchbook she had prepared especially for Ethan. She didn't fully understand why so many adults were watching, but she was happy to spend more time with her friend. Hi, little Ethan, she said, approaching the therapy table where he lay connected to several machines. Why do you have all these wires? The doctors want to see if my leg gets better when you're here, Ethan explained, sounding wiser than his 4 years suggested. Oh, okay, replied Olivia, finding it perfectly natural. Let's play our game then. The game had evolved over the months. Olivia created stories where she and Ethan were characters in imaginary adventures. That day, they were explorers searching for a lost treasure in a magical forest. "Ethan, you need to use your legs to climb the tree where the treasure is," said Olivia, placing her hand on her friend's thigh. "I'll help, but you have to try." On the monitors beside the table, Amanda watched the muscle activity graphs. At first, everything was normal, but as Olivia continued the story, small spikes began to appear. "Can you feel my hand, little Ethan?" the girl asked. "Yes, I can," Ethan replied, closing his eyes to concentrate. "It feels like it's getting warm." The neurological activity graph showed a sudden spike. Amanda frantically took notes. "Now you need to bend your leg to climb the tree," Olivia continued, still immersed in the fantasy. "Come on, I'm right here with you." Ethan took a deep breath, as Olivia had taught him months ago, and tried to contract his thigh muscle. On the monitors, the electrical activity surged. "Doctor, Amanda," whispered the technician operating the equipment. "There's actual muscle contraction happening." Amanda stepped closer to the monitor, hardly believing what she saw. The neurological activity was 3 times higher than normal for that type of injury. "Ethan, you're managing to contract the muscle," she said, trying to keep her voice calm. "I can feel it," the boy exclaimed, tears of joy streaming down his face. "Olivia, I'm doing it." The girl jumped for joy, clapping her hands. "I knew it. I always knew you could do it." On the other side of the observation room window, Dr. Henry watched the graphs with an unreadable expression. Dr. Richard stood beside him, clearly moved by the results. "Henry, are you seeing this?" Richard asked. "I'm seeing it," Dr. Henry replied, his voice lacking its usual conviction. Jennifer and Robert watched from another room, hugging each other, tears flowing freely down their faces. 6 months of despair were beginning to give way to something they had lost, real hope. The session ended with Ethan managing to voluntarily contract the muscles in his right thigh 3 times in a row. Tiny movements, imperceptible to the naked eye, but enormous on the monitor screens. "How do you feel?" Amanda asked Ethan after disconnecting the equipment. "Tired," the boy admitted, "but good, really good." "And you, Olivia? How was it helping your friend?" "It was easy," the girl replied simply. "He just needed to remember how to walk. I helped him remember." That night, Dr. Henry stayed late at the hospital, reviewing the session data. 40 years of medical practice had taught him to be skeptical of results that challenged established knowledge, but the numbers didn't lie. He called Dr. Richard at 10 o'clock. "Richard, I need to talk to you about Ethan James Miller's case." "Of course, Henry. What did you think of today's results?" "I have to admit I'm surprised," said Dr. Henry, each word an effort. "The neurological responses are beyond what we'd expect for this type of injury." "Henry, does this mean you're considering the possibility of—" "I'm considering the possibility that our understanding of neuroplasticity in young children might be incomplete," the veteran doctor admitted. "And what about the protocol with Olivia?" Dr. Henry was silent for a few seconds. "We'll continue the observations, but I want daily data, not just twice a week. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. The news about the change in protocol reached the Miller family the following morning. Ethan would participate in daily sessions with Olivia, with full monitoring of his neurological responses. "But does that mean Olivia will have to come every day?" asked Sarah, concerned about the impact on her daughter's routine. "If you agree," Amanda replied. "I know it's a lot to ask." "Dr. Amanda," Sarah interrupted, "if there's a chance Ethan can get better, Olivia will be here every day. She's a very special child." "Mommy, can I come every day?" Olivia asked, having overheard the conversation. "Of course, sweetheart. You want to help little Ethan get better, don't you?" "I do," the girl answered enthusiastically. "And he's already getting better. Yesterday I felt his leg move." The adults exchanged meaningful glances. Olivia had sensed something the monitors had only confirmed. The next 2 weeks brought progress that defied all medical expectations. Ethan managed to voluntarily move his toes, flex his calf muscles, and, in one particularly emotional session, slightly bend his right knee. Each small movement was met with bursts of joy from Olivia and tears of happiness from his parents. The medical team meticulously documented everything, knowing they were witnessing something rare in medicine. Dr. Henry, initially skeptical, began to take a genuine interest in the case. He spent hours studying medical literature on neuroplasticity, trying to understand the mechanisms behind Ethan's recovery. "Amanda," he called one morning, "I found some studies on peer-assisted therapy in young children. There's evidence that strong emotional connections can facilitate neural regeneration." "Dr. Henry, does that mean what we're seeing has a scientific basis?" Amanda asked, barely containing her excitement. "It means I may have been too quick to dismiss unconventional possibilities," he admitted. "Medicine is always evolving. Who am I to say we know everything?" It was during the third week that something happened that completely changed the course of Ethan's recovery. Olivia arrived at the hospital on Thursday morning, visibly upset. "Olivia, what's wrong?" Jennifer asked, noticing the girl was quieter than usual. "My mom said we might have to move," she answered, her eyes filled with tears. Sarah stepped closer, embarrassed. "Jennifer, I got a job offer in Worcester. The hospital there is offering a much better salary, and we really need—" "But you can't leave," Ethan exclaimed, having heard the conversation. "Who's going to help me walk?" Ethan's reaction was intense and immediate. He began crying desperately, his arms twitching nervously. Then something extraordinary happened. Trying to reach Olivia, who was across the room, Ethan managed to move both legs. Not much, just a few inches, but it was conscious, coordinated movement. "My God," Amanda whispered. "Ethan, you moved both legs." "I don't want Liv to go," the boy sobbed. "I need her here." The emotional intensity of the moment had unlocked something in Ethan's nervous system. The monitors showed neurological activity at levels never recorded before. "Sarah," Jennifer said, holding the other mother's hand, "you don't have to go to Worcester. We'll figure something out." "What do you mean?" Sarah asked, confused. "Rob and I talked last night. We want to offer you a job right here. Rob is expanding his auto shop and needs someone to handle the administrative side." Sarah fell silent, processing the offer. "Jennifer, you don't have to do this." "We're not doing this out of pity," clarified Robert, who had arrived just in time to hear the conversation. "Olivia saved our son. It's the least we can do." "And besides," added Dorothy, who was visiting her grandson, "these two children can't be separated now. Anyone can see they were made to help each other." Olivia ran to hug Ethan, both of them crying with relief. "I'm not leaving, little Ethan. I'll stay here and help you walk for real." "Promise?" asked Ethan. "I promise," Olivia replied. "And do you promise you'll keep trying?" "I promise." The children's embrace was witnessed by a room full of emotional adults and machines, recording the most intense neurological activity Ethan had shown since the accident. That afternoon, Dr. Henry called an extraordinary meeting with the entire medical team. "Colleagues," he began, "the case of Ethan James Miller is rewriting our understanding of neurological rehabilitation in young children." The data projected on the screen showed progress that defied all known medical protocols. In just 3 weeks, Ethan has progressed from complete paralysis to coordinated voluntary movement in both legs, Dr. Henry continued. "This shouldn't be possible according to our current medical literature." Dr. Richard spoke up. "Henry, are you suggesting we rethink our rehabilitation protocols?" "I'm suggesting that traditional medicine may not have all the answers," replied Dr. Henry. "What we're seeing here is the power of human connection as a therapeutic tool." Amanda stood up. "Dr. Henry, I'd like to propose we document this entire process for publication in medical journals. Other hospitals need to know about these possibilities." "I completely agree," said Dr. Henry. "But first, let's make sure Ethan continues to progress." The following month, the story of Ethan and Olivia began spreading through the hospital. Staff from other departments found excuses to pass by the pediatric physical therapy wing during the children's sessions. Dr. Charles Thompson, the hospital's medical director, decided to observe one of the sessions personally after hearing reports about the exceptional case. "Dr. Henry," he said, after watching a session where Ethan managed to sit unsupported for 15 minutes, What I just saw contradicts everything I've learned about spinal injuries. Dr. Charles, we're all learning something new, replied Dr. Henry. This child is teaching us that medicine can go beyond the protocols we know. I'd like to propose something, said Dr. Charles. How about we create a pilot program for peer-assisted therapy based on what you've developed here? The proposal excited the whole team. The possibility of helping other children using the method that was working for Ethan represented a revolution in pediatric medicine. But first, Amanda cautioned, we need to ensure we can replicate the results. What works for Ethan may not work for other children. True, agreed Dr. Charles. Let's document everything meticulously before considering expansion. While the doctors discussed the future of pediatric medicine, Ethan and Olivia continued their daily sessions, unaware of the revolution they were causing in the medical world. Olivia, Ethan said one afternoon, do you think I'll really be able to walk someday? Of course you will, she replied without hesitation. You're almost there. You just need to practice a little more. And if I can walk, will we be able to play at the playground again? Yes, and I'll teach you how to climb the new slide they put in at school. The simple conversation between two children carried hopes that had transformed a family and was changing medical protocols established for decades. 2 months after the experimental treatment began, Ethan achieved something everyone thought impossible. During an especially intense session, he managed to stand for 3 seconds, just 3 seconds, supported by the parallel bars, his legs trembling with effort. But those 3 seconds represented a miracle to everyone who witnessed it. I did it! Ethan shouted, his voice echoing through the entire physical therapy wing. Olivia jumped for joy, clapping and yelling, I knew it! I knew you could do it! Jennifer, watching from the observation room, broke down in tears. Robert had to lean against the wall, his legs weak with emotion. Dorothy whispered a prayer of gratitude. Dr. Amanda, Ethan called out. I stood up. Did you see? I sure did, champ, Amanda replied, also moved. You were amazing. Now I'll be able to walk soon, right? The boy asked, his eyes shining with hope. We'll keep practicing, Amanda said. Slowly, but we'll get there. Dr. Henry, who had witnessed everything from start to finish, approached Ethan with a smile that surprised everyone. In 40 years of practice, he had become known for his seriousness and skepticism. But this child had shattered all his certainties. Ethan, he said, you just did something I thought was impossible. You taught me that I still have so much to learn about medicine. Dr. Henry, Ethan replied with the solemnity of a 4-year-old, Olivia taught me. She always knew I could do it. The doctor looked at Olivia, who smiled shyly, clearly not grasping the full significance of what had happened. Olivia, he said, you saved your friend. I hope you know how special you are. I just helped him remember how to walk, she replied. Everyone knows how to walk. Sometimes they just forget. The simplicity of her answer left all the adults speechless. A 4-year-old had summed up in one sentence what dozens of medical specialists couldn't explain scientifically. That night, Dr. Henry called colleagues at other hospitals, sharing the results of Ethan James Miller's case. Reactions ranged from skepticism to fascination, but everyone agreed the data was remarkable. Dr. Margaret Harper, a neurobiologist at Harvard Medical School, took particular interest in the case. Henry, she said during a phone call, I'd like to study this case in more detail. The neurological mechanisms involved could revolutionize our understanding of neural regeneration. Margaret, you're welcome to observe and document everything, Dr. Henry replied. We're all learning together. Is there a chance for detailed MRIs of the boy's brain and spinal cord? I want to understand exactly what's happening at the neural level. I'll talk to his parents. I'm sure they'll authorize any tests that could help other patients. The proposal for further studies brought new hope to the Miller family. The possibility that Ethan's recovery could help other children gave even greater meaning to all the suffering they had endured. If studying Ethan's case can help other families, Jennifer said, we'll authorize any tests needed. The advanced neurological scans revealed something that stunned even the most experienced specialists. Ethan's spinal cord was creating new neural pathways at an extraordinary rate. Dr. Henry, Dr. Margaret explained after reviewing the images. His brain is literally rewiring itself, creating new connections to bypass the damaged area. Is that common in young children? Dr. Henry asked. More common than in adults, but not at this speed and intensity. Something is dramatically accelerating neuroplasticity. And do you believe that something is Olivia's presence? Dr. Margaret became thoughtful for a few moments. There are studies that correlate intense emotional stimuli with accelerated neural regeneration, but I've never seen cases documented as clearly as this one. What does this mean for Ethan's future? It means that if we continue properly stimulating this neuroplasticity, he could regain much more movement than any medical protocol predicts. The conversation between the specialists took place while downstairs, Ethan and Olivia carried out another one of their daily sessions, completely unaware of the scientific discussions their case was generating. "Little Ethan," Olivia said that afternoon, "today I dreamed we were running in the playground." "I also dream about running," Ethan admitted. "Do you think one day we'll really be able to run together?" "I'm sure," Olivia replied with the unshakable conviction only small children possess. "My grandma always says good dreams come true." 3 months after the experimental treatment began, Ethan managed to take his first steps with a walker. They were just 5 steps, wobbly and careful, but they were real steps. The moment was recorded by the hospital's cameras for medical documentation, but no one cared about the science in that instant. There was only pure joy in the physical therapy room. "I can walk," Ethan shouted, tears of happiness streaming down his face. Olivia ran to hug him, nearly knocking over the walker in the process. "You did it, little Ethan, you did it, you walked!" Jennifer and Robert embraced each other, crying with emotion. Dorothy whispered a prayer of thanks. The entire medical team applauded, many also with tears in their eyes. "Dr. Amanda," Ethan said, "can I go home walking now?" "Not yet, champ," Amanda replied, laughing through her tears. "But you're on the right path." "How much longer?" Olivia asked, impatient to play normally with her friend. "A few more months of physical therapy," Amanda explained, "but now we know it's going to work." That night, news of Ethan's walk spread throughout the entire hospital. Staff from every department came to congratulate the family and meet the girl who had worked a miracle. Olivia, shy from all the attention, hid behind her mother when a nurse called her a little miracle angel. "I'm not an angel," she said seriously. "I'm just little Ethan's friend." The child's simplicity amid all the commotion moved everyone. To her, there was nothing extraordinary in what she had done. It was just what any true friend would do. Dr. Charles Thompson decided it was time to formalize the peer-assisted therapy program at the hospital. Ethan and Olivia had proven that unconventional methods could produce extraordinary results. "Dr. Henry," he said, "I want you to lead the new program. We'll recruit other volunteer children and see if we can replicate the results." "Dr. Charles, it would be an honor," Dr. Henry replied, "but I insist that Olivia and Ethan be the program's first consultants. They understand this better than any of us." The proposal to make Olivia and Ethan consultants for the therapy program made them both feel very important. Olivia didn't quite understand what being a consultant meant, but she liked the idea of helping other children. "Dr. Henry," she asked, "does being a consultant mean I'll teach other kids how to help their friends?" "Exactly, Olivia. You'll teach other children how to be a special friend." "Then okay," she said, satisfied. "I know how to do that." The pilot program for peer-assisted therapy was launched 2 months later. 5 children with different types of physical limitations were paired with 5 volunteer children, all trained by Olivia and Ethan. The results varied, but in every case there was some level of improvement that exceeded traditional medical expectations. No case was as dramatic as Ethan's, but all showed that human connection could be a powerful therapeutic tool. "Olivia," said Amanda after 3 months of the program, "did you know your idea to help Ethan inspired an entire program at the hospital?" "It wasn't my idea," Olivia corrected. "It was my heart's idea. My mum always says when your heart tells you to do something good, you have to listen." 6 months after taking his first steps with a walker, Ethan managed to walk unsupported for 15 feet. The progress had been slow but steady, always with Olivia by his side, encouraging every small advance. "Little Ethan," she said one day, "do you remember when I told you you'd be able to walk?" "I do," Ethan replied, focused on keeping his balance as he walked. "I always knew because I felt in my heart you'd get better. The heart doesn't lie, right?" "No, it doesn't," Ethan agreed. "And my heart says you're the best friend in the whole world." The simple conversation between the two children was overheard by Jennifer, who watched from a distance. She thought of all the doctors, specialists, and expensive equipment that had failed to help her son. In the end, it had been the pure heart of a 4-year-old that made the difference. A year after Ethan's recovery began, Boston City Hospital was visited by a team of documentary filmmakers interested in recording the story of the two children. The peer-assisted therapy program had become a national reference. "Ethan," the filmmaker asked, "how do you feel today, a year later?" "I feel happy," replied the boy, now 5 years old and able to walk normally with only a slight limp. "And very grateful that Olivia never gave up on me." "And you, Olivia? How does it feel to know you helped your friend walk again?" "It wasn't just me," Olivia answered, as serious as ever. "It was God, my mom, the doctors, Ethan's family. I just reminded him how to walk." The filmmaker was moved by the response. "What would you say to other children who have friends needing help?" Olivia thought for a few seconds before answering, "That when you truly love someone, you never give up. And sometimes doing something good is simpler than adults think." The documentary about Ethan and Olivia was broadcast nationally, inspiring the creation of similar programs in hospitals across the country. The story of the two children proved that the medicine of the future might need to include something science was still learning to measure: the power of unconditional love. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing. 2 years after the accident that nearly destroyed his family, Ethan Miller walked across the schoolyard like any 6-year-old. His special cane, decorated with drawings Olivia had made, was more a fashion accessory than a medical necessity. "Olivia," he called during recess, "want to play hide and seek?" "Yes," she replied, running toward her friend. "But this time you'll really have to run to catch me." "I will," Ethan said confidently. "You taught me to walk again. Now I'll learn to run." The two ran across the yard, laughing and shouting like any pair of playing children. To those who didn't know their story, they were just two friends having fun. For those who knew where they had come from, it was living proof that miracles can happen when two people refuse to give up on each other. Jennifer, who had gone to pick up Ethan from school, watched from the doorway with tears in her eyes. Robert, by her side, was still moved to see their son running freely. "Can you believe this, Rob?" Jennifer asked. "Sometimes it still feels like a dream," her husband admitted. "But here he is, running and playing as if nothing had happened." "Not as if nothing had happened," Jennifer corrected. "As if everything that happened served a purpose, to teach us about hope, about friendship, about never giving up." Across the yard, Sarah chatted with other mothers about the work at Robert's shop, which had flourished over the past 2 years. The Johnson family had found both financial and emotional stability in Boston. "Sarah," one of the mothers said, "Olivia has always been special, hasn't she? Even as a little girl, we could tell she had something different." "She's always had a big heart," Sarah replied, "but I think her experience with Ethan taught her that we can make a difference in people's lives when we truly love them." "And now, will they stay friends as they grow up?" Sarah looked at the two playing, inseparable as always. "I'm sure they will. What they have is stronger than friendship. It's a soul connection." At the hospital, Dr. Henry finished another report on the peer-assisted therapy program. In 2 years, over 50 children had benefited from the method developed from Ethan James Miller's case. "Amanda," he called, "the second-year results have exceeded all expectations." "Dr. Henry, sometimes I still can't believe it all started with a 4-year-old girl saying, 'Take a deep breath and walk,'" replied Amanda, now promoted to program coordinator. "And do you know what amazes me the most?" Dr. Henry said. "It's not the scientific data or the medical advances, it's the simplicity of the solution. A child who refused to accept that her friend wouldn't get better. Dr. Henry, you've changed a lot these past 2 years." The seasoned doctor smiled. Ethan and Olivia taught me that medical experience is important, but we should never underestimate the power of faith, hope, and love. These are forces science is still learning to understand. That afternoon, Ethan and Olivia visited the hospital for a routine checkup. They loved these visits because they could see other patients and share their success stories. "Dr. Amanda," Ethan said, "is there a new kid we can help?" "Yes," Amanda replied. "A 3-year-old girl just arrived with a condition similar to yours. Her parents are very sad." "Can we talk to them?" Olivia asked. "Can we tell them Ethan got better?" "Of course. I think it would be wonderful for the family to meet you." The new patient's family, Emily's parents, Brian and Patricia, were in the same state of despair the Millers had experienced 2 years earlier. They could hardly believe their eyes when they saw Ethan walking normally down the hallway. "Are you Ethan's parents?" Patricia asked, recognizing the family from the medical reports she'd read. "We are," Jennifer replied, "and this is Olivia, who saved our son." Patricia looked at the 6-year-old girl, trying to understand how someone so small could have made such a difference. "Olivia," she said, "is it true you helped Ethan walk again?" "I just reminded him how to do it," Olivia answered simply. "He already knew how to walk. He'd just forgotten because of the scare he had." "And how did you do that?" "By telling him every day that he could do it, and by putting my hand on his leg to warm it up, and by pretending we were walking together." Brian knelt to Olivia's level. "Do you think our daughter can get better too?" "I'm certain," Olivia Johnson replied without hesitation. "Every child can improve when they have someone who truly believes in them." "But you don't even know us," said Patricia. "How can you be so sure?" "Because you're her parents, right?" Olivia answered as if it were obvious. "Parents always believe in their children. You just can't give up." The conversation with Olivia gave Emily's parents the first real spark of hope since their daughter's accident. These weren't just the words of a child. It was living proof that miracles could happen. "Jennifer," Patricia said later, "how did you handle the uncertainty, the months of not knowing if it would work?" "One day at a time," Jennifer replied, "and with a lot of help. Olivia, her family, the doctors who believed, no one can do it alone." "And what if it hadn't worked? What if Ethan hadn't gotten better?" Jennifer grew thoughtful for a moment. "I think it still would have been worth it. Hope did us all good, even in the hardest moments. And the love that grew between our families, no one can take that away from us." 3 years had passed since that day in the hospital hallway when Olivia first knelt beside Ethan's wheelchair. The 2 children, now 7 years old, remained inseparable. Ethan had become an active and playful boy, his only lingering sign of injury being a slight limp that was barely noticeable. Olivia had grown even more determined and empathetic, always looking for ways to help others. "Olivia," Ethan said one Saturday afternoon, "do you remember when I couldn't walk?" "Of course I do," she replied, "but I always knew you'd walk again." "How did you know?" "Because my heart told me. And when your heart says something good, you have to believe it." "What if your heart said something bad?" Olivia thought seriously before answering. "I don't think a good heart says bad things. A good heart only speaks of love and hope." The simple wisdom of a 7-year-old still amazed the adults around them. Olivia had become a little philosopher of unconditional love. At the hospital, the peer-assisted therapy program had become permanent and a national model. Dr. Henry had written several scientific papers on the case, always emphasizing that traditional medicine needed to open itself to unconventional methods. "Amanda," he said in one of their meetings, "I've been invited to present our research at the International Congress of Pediatric Neurology." "Dr. Henry, that's fantastic. Your work being recognized internationally." "Our work," he corrected. "But mostly, it's the work of 2 children who taught us that medicine can go far beyond the protocols we know." During his presentation at the conference, Dr. Henry shared the program's impressive data. 85% of participating children had shown significant improvement, beyond traditional medical expectations. "Colleagues," he told an audience of specialists from around the world, "these results force us to reconsider our approach to pediatric medicine. The emotional component isn't just important, It's fundamental to therapeutic success. A German doctor asked, "Dr. Henry, how do you ensure these results aren't just a placebo effect?" "Through objective neurological monitoring," Dr. Henry replied. "But even if it were a placebo effect, it would still be a real result with real benefits for patients." "And how do you replicate this method on a large scale?" "That's the question we're still answering," Dr. Henry admitted. "It's not something that can be easily standardized. Every case is unique, every connection is special." The presentation was met with mixed interest and healthy skepticism, reactions Dr. Henry understood perfectly. He himself had been skeptical just a few years earlier. Back in the US, Dr. Henry was greeted by Ethan and Olivia, who wanted to know how his trip had been. "Dr. Henry," Olivia asked, "will doctors from other countries help kids like we helped Ethan?" "Some will, Olivia, but it'll take time for everyone to understand what you taught us." "What did we teach?" Ethan asked curiously. "That medicine isn't just about pills and surgery. It's also about kindness, hope, and love." "Oh, everyone knows that," Olivia said matter-of-factly. "Sometimes grown-ups make simple things complicated." Dr. Henry laughed at her remark. At 70 years old and with 45 years in medicine, he'd learned more from 2 children than from decades of academic study. 4 years after the accident that changed their lives, the Miller and Johnson families gathered to celebrate Ethan and Olivia's 8th birthdays. They'd been born just 2 days apart. The party was held in the Millers' backyard, which had become the meeting place for both families. Kids ran around the garden, adults chatted animatedly, and Ethan and Olivia organized games for everyone. "Jennifer," Sarah said, watching the children play, "have you ever thought how different our lives would be if Olivia hadn't insisted on visiting Ethan?" "I think about it every day," Jennifer replied, "and I'm grateful to have such a stubborn, determined daughter. She's always been like that. Once she sets her mind to something, nothing in the world can change it." "Thank goodness," Rob chimed in. "If she'd given up that first week—" "But she didn't," Dorothy interrupted, now 77 but still sharp and active. "Because real love never gives up." Across the yard, Ethan was teaching other kids how to play hospital, where one child pretended to be sick and the other helped them get better. "Olivia," he said, "now you'll be the doctor and I'll be your assistant." "Okay," she agreed, "but we'll heal everyone, right? No one stays sick in our game." "Of course, we always heal everyone." The children's game brought smiles to the adults' faces. They'd turned their traumatic experience into a playful way to process and help others. That night, after the party ended and the kids were asleep, the adults talked about the future. "Rob," Sarah said, "we've raised 2 very special children." "We got lucky," Rob replied. "They found each other at the right time and helped each other grow." "It wasn't luck," Dorothy said. "It was destiny. Those 2 souls came into this world to find each other and teach everyone about love and hope." "Grandma Dorothy," Jennifer laughed, "you're getting mystical in your old age." "It's not mysticism, dear. It's life experience. At 77, you learn to recognize when God puts special people in your path." At school, Ethan and Olivia had become examples of true friendship. Teachers used their story to teach empathy, perseverance, and kindness. "Ethan," the teacher asked during a lesson on values, "how did it feel when Olivia never stopped believing in you?" "I felt loved," he answered simply. "And when you feel truly loved, you can do things you didn't think you could." "And you, Olivia, why did you never give up on your friend?" "Because giving up doesn't exist when you love someone," she replied. "My mom always says, real love doesn't know the word impossible." The whole class fell silent, struck by the depth of the 8-year-old's answers. 5 years had passed since that first whispered, "Take a deep breath and walk," in the hospital hallway. Ethan Miller, now 9 years old, ran across the school soccer field with the energy of any boy his age. Olivia, also 9 years old, watched from the sidelines, cheering enthusiastically for her friend, who had scored 2 goals in the afternoon match. "Ethan," she shouted when the game ended, "you played so well." "Oh, thanks, Liv," he replied, running toward his friend. "Did you see the second goal?" "I did. It was beautiful. You ran faster than everyone else." The 2 walked together toward their parents, who were chatting in the stands. The simple scene of two children returning from school might have gone unnoticed by anyone. But for the families who had witnessed their journey, every step was still a reason for gratitude. "How was the game?" Jennifer asked as they approached. "Ethan was the best of all," Olivia answered before her friend could speak. "He ran across the entire field." "Olivia always exaggerates," said Ethan, laughing. "But it was fun." "And you two, have you thought about what you want to be when you grow up?" Robert asked. "I want to be a doctor," Olivia replied without hesitation, "to help kids who are sad like Ethan was." "And I want to be a physical therapist," said Ethan, "to teach other kids how to walk again." The adults exchanged emotional glances. Even at 9 years old, the two had already defined their futures based on the experience that had transformed them. "Are you sure?" Sarah asked. "You're still very young to decide that." "I'm sure," Olivia said. "I want to spend my whole life helping people like we helped each other." "Me too," Ethan agreed. "We learned that helping others is the most important thing there is." At the hospital, Dr. Henry, now 72, was preparing for retirement. His final project would be a book about the peer-assisted therapy program, highlighting Ethan and Olivia's case as its founding milestone. "Amanda," he said, "I want you to take over as the program's general coordinator when I retire." "It would be an honor, Dr. Henry. But you won't disappear completely, right? I'll need your experience." "I'll stay on as a consultant, but it's time for a new generation to take over. You understand better than I do what Ethan and Olivia taught us." "What did they teach us, Dr. Henry?" The veteran doctor thought for a moment. "That the medicine of the future can't ignore the power of human connection. That scientific protocols are important, but love and faith may be the most powerful therapeutic tools we have." "So what now? Will the program keep growing?" "It will keep growing because it works. And it works because it's based on something real. The human capacity to heal through unconditional love. 6 years after the accident that nearly destroyed a family and created a revolutionary treatment method, Ethan and Olivia received a special invitation to participate in an international documentary about extraordinary cases of medical recovery. "Ethan, Olivia," the producer explained, "would you like to share your story with children all over the world?" "Can we really help other kids by telling our story?" Olivia asked. "Absolutely. Many families are going through the same thing you did." "Then we want to be part of it," said Ethan. "If our story can give hope to others, we'd love to share it." During filming, they were asked what they had learned from the entire experience. "Ethan," the interviewer asked, "what would you say to a child in a wheelchair today?" "Never give up," he answered firmly. "And find a friend like Olivia, someone who believes in you just as much." "And you, Olivia, what would you say to a child who wants to help a sick friend?" "That love can work miracles," she replied, "but it has to be real love, the kind that never gives up, even when things seem impossible." "Do you think you performed a miracle?" The two looked at each other and smiled before Olivia answered, "We think God performed the miracle. We just followed our hearts when they told us not to give up." 7 years had passed since that first "take a deep breath and walk." Ethan Miller and Olivia Johnson, now 11 years old, were entering their preteen years while maintaining the unshakable friendship that defined them. Ethan played soccer on the school team and dreamed of becoming a physical therapist. Olivia had the best grades in her class and held firm to her dream of becoming a doctor. Both volunteered in the hospital's peer-assisted therapy program on Saturday afternoons. "Dr. Amanda," Olivia said during one of their volunteer sessions, "can we help that new girl who arrived yesterday?" "Of course, Olivia. Her name is Sophia, and she had an accident similar to Ethan's." "Should we talk to her?" Ethan asked. "Maybe we can help." Amanda watched as the two approached Sophia, a 6-year-old girl who had lost the use of her legs in a household accident 3 months earlier. Her parents were desperate, just as the Millers had been years ago. "Hi, Sophia," Olivia said, kneeling beside the wheelchair. "I'm Olivia, and this is Ethan." "Hi," Sophia replied shyly. "Ethan was in a wheelchair when he was little too," Olivia continued, "but now he walks and runs normally. Want to see?" Ethan stepped back a few feet and ran forward, stopping beside the girls with a smile. "Really?" Sophia asked, her eyes lighting up for the first time in weeks. "It's true," Ethan confirmed, And you know who helped me? Olivia? She never gave up on me. How did she help? By telling me every day that I would walk again, by warming my leg with her hand, and by pretending we were walking together when we played. Sophia looked at Olivia curiously. Can you do that with me too? Of course I can, Olivia replied. But you have to promise you'll try with me. I promise. From across the room, Amanda watched the scene with emotion. Ethan and Olivia had become natural agents of hope, able to pass on to other children the same faith that had saved them. 3 months later, Sophia took her first steps with a walker, cheered on by Ethan and Olivia. The cycle of hope and recovery continued, fueled by the example of 2 children who had refused to accept the word impossible. Ethan, Olivia, Doctor, Amanda said after Sophia's success, do you realize how many children you've already helped? We just do what we learned, Ethan replied. That real love never gives up. And that everyone can get better when someone believes in them, Olivia added. 8 years had passed since that first meeting in the hospital hallway. Ethan and Olivia, now 12, were finishing elementary school and preparing for middle school. Their friendship had evolved naturally, going through the usual phases of pre-adolescence while keeping the essence that defined them, unconditional care for one another. Liv, Ethan said one Saturday afternoon, do you still want to be a doctor? I do. And do you still want to be a physical therapist? I do. Will we work together when we grow up? Of course, Olivia replied. We'll have our own clinic and help every child who needs us. What if we get married when we grow up? Ethan asked, blushing slightly. Olivia laughed. Ethan, we're still kids. But if it happens, it'll be beautiful. We already know how to take care of each other. Their conversation was interrupted by Jennifer's arrival, coming to pick them up for another Saturday of volunteering at the hospital. Ready to help more kids? She asked. Always ready, they replied in unison. At the hospital, Ethan and Olivia had become legendary among the staff. Every child who went through the peer-assisted therapy program knew their stories and was inspired by their example. Dr. Amanda, said a nurse, Sophia's parents are asking if they can throw a party to thank Ethan and Olivia. What kind of party? A gratitude party. Sophia has been walking normally for a year now, and they want to celebrate with all the children who participated in the program. The party took place in the hospital's event hall, bringing together dozens of families who had been touched by the peer-assisted therapy program. Ethan and Olivia were honored as the unofficial founders of the method. Ethan, Olivia, Sophia's father said during an emotional speech, you gave our daughter back to us. We don't know how to thank you. You don't have to thank us, Olivia replied. We just did what we had to do. That's what friends do. And now Sophia can help other kids too, Ethan added. That's how it works. Each person who gets better helps the next one. The wisdom of these 2 pre-teens still amazed the adults. They had instinctively created a model of solidarity that perpetuated itself naturally. 9 years had passed since that first take a deep breath and walk. Ethan and Olivia, now 13, were in their first year of high school. Their personalities had developed while keeping the essential traits that defined them. Ethan had become a charismatic and determined teenager, popular in school, but always willing to help struggling classmates. Olivia was studious and empathetic, top of her class in grades, but equally interested in social issues. Liv, Ethan said during a school break, did you see there's a new girl in our class? I did. Beatrice, she seems really shy. I heard her parents recently separated. It must be hard for her. Should we talk to her? Olivia suggested. She might need friends. Their approach to helping Beatrice followed the same natural pattern they had developed over the years: respectful outreach, active listening, and offering emotional support without judgment. Hi, Beatrice, Olivia said at lunch. Do you want to sit with us? Thank you, Beatrice replied shyly. You're Ethan and Olivia, right? Everyone talks about you. I hope they say good things, Ethan laughed. They say you help everyone, that you're the best friends in school. We just like making friends, Olivia explained. What about you? Are you liking the new school? Beatrice gave a sad smile. It's been hard. Moving to a new city, new school, parents splitting up. Everything's different. We get it, Ethan said. Changes are always tough at first, but you get used to it. And in the meantime, you have us, Olivia added. Friends help you through the hard parts. Within 6 months, Beatrice had fully integrated into the group and become one of the duo's closest friends. Her school performance improved dramatically, and she regained her self-esteem. "Ethan, Olivia," she said at the end of the school year, "you saved my life. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't welcomed me." "Beatrice," Olivia replied, "friends don't save each other's lives. Friends share each other's lives. And now you can help the next person who needs it," Ethan said. "That's how love works. It multiplies when you share it." 10 years had passed since the accident that changed everything. Ethan and Olivia, now 14, were halfway through high school, closer than ever to achieving their dreams of medicine and physical therapy. The peer-assisted therapy program at Boston City Hospital had become an international reference. Dozens of hospitals around the world had implemented adapted versions of the method, always citing the founding case of Ethan Miller and Olivia Johnson. "Dr. Amanda," Olivia said during one of their hospital visits, "how many children have been helped by the program so far?" "Over 500 just here at this hospital," Amanda replied. "And if we count all the hospitals that have adopted the method, we've helped more than 5,000 children." 5,000? Ethan exclaimed. "Really? Really?" And it all started with a 4-year-old girl who refused to accept that her friend wouldn't get better. Olivia blushed slightly. "I just followed my heart." "And that's exactly what changed pediatric medicine," Amanda said. "You two proved that the heart can be as powerful a medical tool as any technology." That afternoon, Ethan and Olivia participated in a video conference with doctors from other countries interested in implementing the peer-assisted therapy program. "Ethan, Olivia," an Italian doctor asked, "what's the secret to identifying children who can be good assistant therapists?" "There's no secret," Olivia answered. "Any child with love in their heart can help. But there must be some special personality trait, no?" a French doctor insisted. "The only special thing is genuinely wanting to help," Ethan said, "and not giving up when it gets hard." "That's how love works," Olivia added. "It doesn't need anything special to work. It just needs to be real." The doctors were struck by the simplicity of the teenagers' answers. They had created something revolutionary based purely on human instincts. 11 years had passed since that first "take a deep breath and walk." Ethan and Olivia, now 15, were in their second year of high school, focused on their studies to get into the best medical and physical therapy schools in the country. Their personalities had matured while keeping the traits that had always defined them. Ethan was popular, athletic, and charismatic, but his greatest pride was the volunteer work he did. Olivia was brilliant academically, but devoted as much time to social service as to her studies. "Liv," Ethan said one afternoon while studying, "have you decided which university you want to apply to?" "I want HMS for medicine," she replied. "What about you?" "HMS for physical therapy too. I want to stay close to you and our work at the hospital." "Ethan," Olivia said, looking seriously at her friend, "are you sure you want physical therapy because it's your calling or just because of our story?" The question caught Ethan off guard. He stayed silent for a moment before answering. "At first it was because of our story, but now it's really my calling. I love helping people regain movement, giving hope to desperate families." "That's good," Olivia said, smiling. "Because doctors and physical therapists work closely together. We'll make an amazing team." "Are you sure you want medicine?" "Absolutely. I want to diagnose, care for, and give hope. I want to be like Dr. Amanda and Dr. Henry were for us." "We're going to change medicine, right, Liv?" "We already have," she replied. "Now we'll expand those changes." At the hospital, Dr. Henry, now 75 and retired for 3 years, still visited the program he had helped create regularly. Ethan and Olivia were always the first people he looked for. "Dr. Henry," Olivia said during one visit, "how does it feel to see the program we built together grow so much?" "It's thrilling and humbling at the same time," the veteran doctor replied. "Thrilling because it's helping thousands of children. Humbling because you two taught me more about medicine than 40 years of my career ever did." "You taught us too," Ethan said. "Taught us that doctors can be both human and scientific at the same time." And that it's never too late to learn new things, added Olivia. Dr. Henry smiled. You two are going to be extraordinary doctors. You have scientific knowledge, but you also have heart. That's a rare and powerful combination. 12 years had passed since the accident. Ethan and Olivia, now 16, were in their junior year of high school, intensifying their studies for college entrance exams while maintaining their volunteer work. Their relationship had naturally evolved into a pure and mature teenage romance, built on the deep friendship and mutual admiration that had always defined them. Ethan, Olivia said during a walk in the park where they used to play as children, do you remember when I asked if you wanted to marry me when we grew up? I remember, he replied, smiling. And you said, if it happened, it would be beautiful because we already knew how to take care of each other. I still believe that. Do you want to be my boyfriend, officially? Ethan stopped walking and looked into the eyes of the girl who had saved his life. Liv, I've loved you since I was 4 years old. Of course I want to be with you. Their first kiss happened in the same park where they had dreamed of playing together when Ethan was still in a wheelchair. It was a simple moment, but filled with all the history that had brought them together. Ethan, Olivia said after the kiss, promise me we'll stay the same, taking care of each other and helping others. I promise, he answered, because that's who we are. That's who we've always been. Ethan and Olivia's relationship was met with joy by both families, who had always known the two were meant for each other. Dorothy, now 82, was the first to bless their union. I always knew, she told the other two grandmothers. From the time they were little, I could see their souls were connected in a special way. College entrance exams came, and Ethan and Olivia were accepted into their respective programs at HMS in first place. The news was celebrated by the entire hospital, which had followed the growth of the two founders of the peer-assisted therapy program. Dr. Amanda, Ethan said on acceptance day, we did it. We're going to study physical therapy and medicine. I always knew you would, Amanda replied. You have determination and intelligence, but most of all, you have true calling. Dr. Amanda, Olivia said, when we graduate, we want to come back and work here. To continue the program we started. It'll be an honor to have you back as professional colleagues, Amanda said, moved. 13 years had passed since that first take a deep breath and walk. Ethan and Olivia, now 17, were in their first year of college. He studying physical therapy, she studying medicine at HMS. The peer-assisted therapy program had spread to 40 countries and helped over 10,000 children worldwide. Ethan and Olivia were often invited to speak at international conferences as founders and experts in compassionate care. Liv, Ethan said during an anatomy lab, I still can't believe we're here, actually studying medicine. I can, Olivia replied. We always knew we'd get here. It's been our dream since we were 4. Do you regret anything that happened? Ethan asked. Olivia stopped studying and looked at her boyfriend. Ethan, without your accident, we never would have discovered our calling. Without our struggle, thousands of kids wouldn't have been helped. How could I regret something that brought so much good to the world? You're right, Ethan agreed. Our pain became purpose. And our love became medicine, Olivia added. During their first year of college, Ethan and Olivia kept up their volunteer work at the hospital, now as university students mentoring younger children. Ethan, Olivia, said a new 10-year-old volunteer, can you teach me how to help that boy who arrived yesterday? Of course, Anna, Olivia replied. The first thing is to talk to him, find out what he likes, what his favorite game is. And then? Asked Anna. Then you put love into what you do, Ethan said. Without love, technique doesn't work. How do you put love into it? You genuinely care about him, Olivia explained. You want him to get better not out of obligation, but because you like him. And what if I like him and he still doesn't get better? Ethan and Olivia exchanged a glance before answering. It was a question they had asked themselves many times. Anna, Ethan said, improvement doesn't always happen the way we expect, but love is never wasted. Even if the body doesn't heal, the soul always does when it receives true love. And sometimes, Olivia added, our job isn't to cure, it's just to love, and that's already very important. 14 years had passed since the accident. Ethan and Olivia, now 18, were in their second year of college, excelling academically, but keeping themselves grounded through their ongoing volunteer work. Their relationship had matured into something solid and steady, built on shared goals and genuine love. They had become a role model couple among their college peers. "Ethan," Olivia said during a walk across campus, "have you ever thought about how different our life is from most couples our age?" "How so?" "We're not together just because we like each other. We're together because we've built a life together, share the same goals, work side by side." "That's true," Ethan agreed. "But do you think that's good or bad?" "I think it's special," Olivia replied. "We have a solid foundation that many couples only achieve after years together." "And don't you miss having a normal teenage experience?" Olivia laughed. "Ethan, what's normal? We've saved lives, changed medical protocols, inspired thousands of people. Our teenage years were extraordinary." "You're right," Ethan said, "and we're just getting started." In their third year of college, Ethan and Olivia began hospital internships, putting their theoretical knowledge into practice. It was thrilling to see how their life experiences translated into professional competence. "Dr. Johnson," an internship supervisor said to Olivia, "I rarely see students with your maturity and clinical intuition." "Thank you, Doctor. I think life experience helps." "What kind of experience?" Olivia smiled. "From a young age, I learned that medicine isn't just diagnosis and treatment. It's also hope, faith, and love." "And where did you learn that?" "From a 4-year-old who refused to accept that her friend wouldn't get better," she replied, thinking of her younger self. The supervisor was intrigued by the cryptic answer, but recognized something special in that young medical student. Ethan also stood out in his physical therapy internships, showing a natural ability to motivate patients and build effective therapeutic connections. "Ethan," his supervisor said, "you have a gift for making patients believe in their own recovery." "Thank you, Doctor. I think it's because I've been on the other side." "How so?" "I've been the patient who needed to believe in my own recovery," Ethan explained. "I know how important it is to have someone who doesn't give up on you." 15 years had passed since that first "take a deep breath and walk." Ethan and Olivia, now 19, were in their 4th year of college, preparing for their final internships and working on their senior projects. Olivia was developing her thesis on the impact of humanized therapies in pediatric medicine. Ethan was working on research about neuroplasticity and emotional stimuli in physical therapy. "Liv," Ethan said during a study session, "have you noticed our theses are basically about our own story?" "I have," Olivia replied. "We're scientifically systematizing what we lived intuitively. And it's working. The data I've collected on neuroplasticity confirms everything that happened to me as a child. My data on humanized therapy does too. Science is validating what our hearts always knew." During their final year of medical school, Ethan and Olivia received invitations to present their research at international conferences. Their personal stories, combined with scientific rigor, created unique and impactful presentations. "Colleagues," Olivia said during a conference in New York, "I'd like to present a case I've followed for 15 years, the case of a child who developed his own physical therapy method based solely on love and determination." The audience fell silent when she revealed she was talking about Ethan, who was present in the crowd. "Ethan," she called, "could you come up here?" When Ethan stepped onto the stage, Olivia continued, "This is Ethan Miller. 15 years ago, at age 4, he suffered a spinal injury that should have resulted in permanent paralysis. Today, as you can see, he walks normally and is graduating in physical therapy." The audience of doctors and researchers was amazed. It was rare to see such dramatic recovery cases presented by the protagonists themselves. Dr. Miller, a German doctor, asked, "What was the decisive factor in your recovery?" Ethan looked at Olivia before answering, "A 4-year-old girl who refused to accept my diagnosis. She instinctively created a physical therapy method, now used in 40 countries. And that girl is Dr. Olivia Johnson," Ethan replied, pointing to his girlfriend. "My physical therapist, best friend, girlfriend, and future wife." The revelation sparked spontaneous applause from the audience. It was an extraordinary story of love, science, and resilience. 16 years had passed since the accident. Ethan and Olivia, now 20, graduated as the top students in their respective classes at HMS. The graduation ceremony was a special moment for both families. Ethan Miller, the dean announced, graduate in physical therapy with academic honors, creator of the peer-assisted therapy method. The applause was thunderous as Ethan stepped up to receive his diploma. Olivia Johnson, the dean continued, graduate in medicine with academic honors, co-creator of the peer-assisted therapy method. Olivia received her diploma to even louder applause. She was the youngest student to graduate at the top of her class in the last decade. After the ceremony, the two families gathered for an emotional celebration. "Jennifer," Sarah said, "can you believe our children became real doctors?" "Sometimes it still feels like a dream," Jennifer replied, "but they've earned every achievement." "And now?" Robert asked. "Where will you work?" "We'll do our residency right here at Boston City Hospital," Ethan answered. "We want to work on the program we helped create." "And after residency?" Dorothy, now 87 but still sharp and present, asked. "We'll open our own clinic," Olivia said, "a clinic specializing in humanized medicine and physical therapy." "And get married," Ethan added, holding his girlfriend's hand. "We want to build a family and keep helping other families." The official marriage proposal happened in the same hospital hallway where it all began. Ethan knelt down exactly where Olivia had knelt 16 years earlier to whisper, "Take a deep breath and walk." "Olivia Johnson," he said, "you saved my life when I was 4 years old. You built with me the most beautiful story I know. Will you marry me and build the rest of our story together?" "Ethan Miller," she replied, tears streaming down her face. "You were my first patient, my best friend, my first love. Of course I'll marry you." The engagement ring held a special surprise, a tiny engraving of the words, "Take a deep breath and walk," that had started it all. The wedding took place a year later, in a simple yet moving ceremony in the garden of the hospital, where their lives had become forever intertwined. Dr. Henry, now 78, officiated as the special celebrant. "Ethan and Olivia," he said during the ceremony, "you've taught me that love can be the most powerful medicine there is, that faith can move not just mountains, but paralyzed muscles too, that hope can create miracles." The vows they exchanged were simple and profound. "Ethan," Olivia said, "I promise to care for you when you're sick, celebrate with you when you're happy, and never, ever give up on us." "Olivia," Ethan replied, "I promise to be your patient when you need to care for me, your colleague when we're working, and your biggest admirer forever." After their honeymoon in Massachusetts, visiting quaint historic towns, Ethan and Olivia returned to begin their medical residencies at Boston City Hospital. It was thrilling to be back where it all began, but now as fully trained doctors, ready to professionally apply all they had learned through personal experience. "Dr. Ethan," said Amanda, now the hospital's medical director, "welcome back as a colleague." "Dr. Amanda," Ethan replied, "it's an honor to work professionally with someone who helped me take my first steps." "And Dr. Olivia," Amanda continued, "I'm eager to see how you'll clinically apply all your experience in humanized therapy." "We're going to revolutionize pediatric medicine," Olivia replied confidently. "We've already proved it's possible." During their residencies, Ethan specialized in pediatric neurological physical therapy, developing protocols based on his own recovery experience. Olivia chose general pediatrics with a focus on integrative medicine. They worked complementary shifts, allowing them to handle cases together whenever possible. Their collaboration was natural and effective, as if they were made to work side by side. "Dr. Olivia," a desperate mother said, "other doctors tell me my son will never get better, but I've heard you work miracles." "Mom," Olivia replied gently, "I don't work miracles, but I believe love and medicine together can do extraordinary things." "What do you mean?" "It means we'll treat your son not just with medicine and therapy, but also with hope, affection, and faith in his ability to improve." 2 years of residency flew by. Ethan and Olivia, now 23, were ready to open their own clinic and implement on a larger scale the methods they had developed. Ethan, Olivia said during a conversation about the future. Do you remember when we were kids and dreamed of having our own clinic? I remember perfectly, he replied. And now that dream is coming true. What should we name our clinic? Ethan thought for a moment. How about Deep Breath Clinic? In honor of the first words that changed our lives. Perfect, Olivia agreed. Deep Breath Clinic, humanized medicine and physical therapy. The Deep Breath Clinic opened 3 months later in a modern building in downtown Boston. She specialized in complex pediatric and neurological cases, offering traditional medical treatment combined with compassionate therapies. Dr. Ethan, Dr. Olivia, said the first patient on opening day. Are you the doctors who were children in the hospital's program? Yes, we are, Olivia replied. And you, how did you hear about us? My sister was treated in the program 5 years ago. She improved so much. Now my son needs help. It was heartwarming to see how the work they had started as children continued to impact families years later. The clinic's first year was an extraordinary success. Ethan and Olivia treated over 200 children with a 78% improvement rate, far above the national average for the types of conditions they handled. Liv, Ethan said during a break between appointments, have you noticed how high our success rate is? I have. I think it's because we truly believe every child can get better. And they feel our faith in them. Exactly. It's just like what you felt when I believed in you at 4 years old. The clinic began receiving visits from doctors in other countries, eager to learn the methods Ethan and Olivia had developed. They offered regular courses on compassionate medicine and peer-assisted therapy. Dr. Olivia asked a Japanese doctor during one of the sessions, what's the secret to holding on to hope when cases seem impossible? Hope isn't about the outcome, she answered. It's about the process. Even if a full cure doesn't happen, the love and care we give always make a difference. Dr. Ethan asked a German physical therapist, how do you spot recovery potential other professionals miss? By looking beyond the tests, Ethan replied. Every person is more than their diagnosis. They have a soul, a will to live, emotional connections that can be therapeutic tools. 3 years after the clinic opened, Ethan and Olivia received news that would change their lives once more. Olivia was pregnant. Ethan, she said, showing him the pregnancy test, we're going to be parents. Ethan fell silent for a few seconds, processing the news before embracing his wife with tears in his eyes. A baby, Liv. Our baby. Are you happy? I'm overwhelmed, he answered. We'll raise a child who grows up watching us help other children. What more beautiful life could we give them? Olivia's pregnancy was lovingly supported by the entire clinic staff and the families they treated. She worked until her 7th month, always with the extra care Ethan insisted on. Dr. Ethan, joked a teenage patient, you're more worried about your pregnant wife than us. True, Ethan admitted, laughing. But it's because I'm going to be a dad for the first time. It's a little scary. You'll be an amazing father, the boy said. If you care for your son like you do for the patients here, he'll be the most loved child in the world. Emma Miller Johnson was born on a sunny September morning, weighing 7 pounds with her father's dark eyes and her mother's golden curls. She's perfect, Ethan whispered, holding his daughter for the first time. Our little princess, Olivia agreed, exhausted but radiant. Emma, Ethan said to the baby, you were born into a family that believes in miracles. We'll teach you that love can move mountains. Emma's arrival brought a new dimension to Ethan and Olivia's lives. They adjusted their clinic schedules, so one of them was always available to care for her. Liv, Ethan said when Emma turned 6 months old. Have you noticed how having a child changed our perspective on work? How so? Now when I see a sick child, I think, what if it were Emma? It makes me even more determined to help. I feel that too, agreed Olivia. Motherhood deepened my empathy. Emma grew up at the clinic, surrounded by professionals who adored her and patients who loved seeing a baby crawling down the halls. She became a sort of therapeutic mascot for the place. Dr. Olivia, said an 8-year-old patient, will Emma be a doctor like you when she grows up? We don't know yet, Olivia replied. She'll choose what she wants to do, but we'll teach her to always help people. What if she doesn't want to help people? Impossible, said Ethan, joining the conversation. She already helps just by existing. Have you seen how happy patients get when she smiles at them? It was true. Emma had a natural therapeutic effect on people. Her joyful presence at the clinic contributed to the positive environment Ethan and Olivia had always wanted to create. 5 years had passed since the clinic opened. Ethan and Olivia, now 28, had established themselves as national leaders in compassionate medicine. Emma, at 2 years old, was a bright and affectionate child, already showing signs of an empathetic personality. "Daddy," Emma said one morning, using her favorite word for Ethan, "can I go with you to the hospital today?" "Of course, Princess," Ethan replied. "You can always come to work with Daddy and Mommy." "Do I help the kids feel better?" "You already help just by being there," Olivia said. "Your smile is medicine for everyone." The clinic had expanded to include a team of 12 professionals, all trained in the methods developed by Ethan and Olivia. They treated patients from all over the country and regularly hosted international visitors. "Dr. Ethan, Dr. Olivia," a fellow doctor said during a conference, "you've created something revolutionary. How do you plan to expand further?" "We want to start a foundation," Olivia answered, "to train healthcare professionals in compassionate methods for free. And maybe write a book," Ethan added, "telling our story and teaching others how to apply our methods." "A book about compassionate medicine?" "A book about love as a medical tool," Olivia corrected. "About how 2 4-year-olds created a method that changed lives all over the world." The idea for the book took shape. Ethan and Olivia spent their free evenings writing their story, from that first "take a deep breath and walk" to the successful clinic they had built. "Liv," Ethan said during one of their writing sessions. "It's amazing to remember everything we've been through. It's incredible to see how every hardship served a purpose," Olivia replied. "Nothing was wasted. Everything brought us to where we are. And to think it all started with a terrible accident. That turned into a blessing for thousands of families," Olivia finished. "Our pain became our purpose." The book, "Take a Deep Breath and Walk, A Story of Love, Medicine and Miracles," was published 2 years later and became an instant bestseller. Ethan and Olivia donated all the profits to the foundation they had created. "Dr. Ethan," a journalist asked during the launch, "what's the main message of the book?" "That unconditional love can work miracles," Ethan answered, "and that medicine without humanity is just technique." "Dr. Olivia," the journalist continued, "what impact do you hope to have?" "We want to inspire other professionals to include love and hope in their treatments," she replied, "and to show families facing difficult situations that miracles are possible." Emma, now 4, attended the book launch with the curiosity typical of her age. "Mommy," she asked, "does the book tell our story?" "It tells the story of how Daddy and Mommy met and learned to help sick children," Olivia explained. "And it tells how you saved Daddy when you were little." "Tell how love saved all of us," Olivia Johnson gently corrected. The Deep Breath Foundation was officially launched that same year, offering free courses in compassionate medicine to healthcare professionals across the country. Within 5 years, over 2,000 professionals had been trained. Dr. Ethan, a rural physician, asked during one of the courses, "Our resources are limited. How can we practice compassionate medicine without sophisticated equipment?" "Compassionate medicine doesn't need equipment," Ethan replied. "It only requires an open heart and the willingness to truly connect with the patient." "Dr. Ethan," a nurse asked, "how do we hold on to hope when we see so many difficult cases?" "By remembering that every person we help, even if they aren't completely cured, carries a little more love in their heart," he answered. "And love is never wasted." 20 years had passed since that first "Take a Deep Breath and Walk." Ethan and Olivia, now in their 40s, had built an empire of compassionate medicine that touched lives worldwide. Emma, now 6, already showed a natural interest in medicine and caring for others. She often played doctor at the clinic, mimicking her parents with adorable seriousness. "Emma," a patient asked, "are you going to be a doctor like your parents?" "Yes," she replied with conviction, "but I'll be a heart doctor like Mommy and Daddy taught me." "What's a heart doctor?" "It's a doctor who cares with love," Emma explained, who never gives up on patients and always believes they can get better. The little girl's wisdom amazed everyone. She had grown up watching her parents treat every patient like family, naturally absorbing their philosophy of compassionate medicine. "Ethan," Olivia said one quiet evening at home, "have you ever thought about how extraordinary our life is?" "I think about it every day," he replied. "A 4-year-old girl refused to accept that I wouldn't get better. That refusal changed the world." "It changed our world," Olivia corrected, "and the world of thousands of families." "Liv, do you have any regrets? Anything you'd do differently?" Olivia thought carefully before answering. "I wouldn't change a thing. Every pain, every struggle, every victory, it was all necessary to bring us here." "I wouldn't change anything either," Ethan agreed. "Our story is perfect just the way it is." "And it's not over yet," Olivia said, smiling. "We have a daughter to raise, more patients to help, more professionals to train, and more love to spread through the world," Ethan finished. In the next room, Emma slept peacefully, surrounded by her little dolls representing doctors and patients. In her childhood dreams, she was already saving the world with love and medicine, continuing the legacy her parents had begun 20 years earlier. Ethan and Olivia's story had proven that sometimes the simplest words can hold the most extraordinary power. "Take a deep breath and walk" wasn't just medical advice, it was a life philosophy built on faith, hope, and unconditional love. And that philosophy would live on through Emma, through the thousands of trained professionals, through healed patients, and through every family that discovered miracles are possible when we refuse to accept the word impossible. The end. Now tell us, do you believe in the power of unconditional love? Have you ever experienced a miracle like this? Share your story in the comments, leave a like and subscribe for more heartwarming stories that touch the soul.